Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this lesson I'm going to be sharing some tips and techniques to help you practice your improvisation. Now it might sound a bit of an oxymoron to say that we practice our improvisation, because improvisation is making something up on the spot. So how can you practice what you're going to just make up on the spot? Well, what we're doing is we're practicing the techniques and ideas to get as much under our fingers as we can, so that when we come to actually improvise live or in front of an audience, we've got as much to draw on as we can, so that we're always going to sound great. And we can only do that through practicing. So at this point, before we get into any actual techniques, I think I'd like to just start talking about the difference between practice and improvisation and what's often referred to as noodling. Okay, so noodling is when you, as we all do, you pick up a guitar, you don't really have a plan of anything to play, but you just start kind of playing around and just enjoying making something up on the spot, but just enjoying that kind of, just enjoying playing guitar. I mean, it's why we learn to play guitar, so that we can just pick up a guitar and play it. That's noodling, when you're just kind of absent-mindedly playing whatever kind of comes to your fingers, and you're probably going to play the same old licks, and you're probably going to revert to the same old chord progressions and things. You're not really engaging your brain, you're not trying to progress or anything, you're just enjoying playing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's an absolute time and place for that. As I say, we learn to play guitar so that we can play guitar. So we want to enjoy those times. But what I'm talking about is something very specific that's very different from just absent-mindedly noodling away on the guitar. It's actually practicing improvisation so that we're continually getting better at improvising. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's think about how you would practice if you were learning a song. What you'd do, or an example guitar solo, for example, right? You want to learn a B.B. King solo or an Eric Clapton solo or something. What you're going to do, you're going to get a copy of the music or a copy of the original. You're going to figure out where all the notes are. You're going to learn the individual notes, and then you're going to practice playing it over and over and over and over again. And when you first start practicing it, you're going to be making lots of mistakes. But the more familiar you get with it, you're going to be making fewer and fewer mistakes, to the point that you then play it without making any mistakes. We're kind of doing the same thing when it comes to practicing improvisation. It's just that there's an extra creative element to it, because we're making it up on the spot. So we're going to break it down. We're going to learn for a particular improvisation. If we know we're going to be improvising 12-bar blues in G, and we're going to go, say, twice round and turn around, okay? What we're going to do, same as if we were learning a written solo. First thing we're going to do is figure out where all the notes are. Where are all the notes that we can choose from? Where are they? What are the good licks to use? Get a bunch of those kind of under our belt. I've talked in the previous lessons in this series about improvisations, kind of like turning up to a solo with a great big bag of licks that you've already pre-learned, and you're going to pull out one at a time. And as you're playing one, you're going to dig around in that bag and pull out a different one. And that's what you're going to play next. And then while you're playing that, you're going to find the next one, etc. So you've got to have practiced those licks. You've got to know where the notes are. Where are the good notes in when you're playing this particular solo? So you're going to learn the notes first of all. Then you're going to practice with the backing track, improvising over it. And just like when you're playing somebody else's solo, first thing that's going to happen is a couple of times through, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to hit bum notes. Things aren't quite going to sound great. But the more you practice it over and over and over again, you get better and better. You gravitate towards the good licks and the good notes and the things that really work. And so that's what we're doing when we practice. Okay, so I'll give you some very specific tips now on how to do this, how to set your practice time up so that you are practicing improvisation and continually improving and not just noodling away. So the first thing is just like if we were learning another solo, we're going to set goals. We're going to work out, what is it I'm going to do? I want to be able to play a 12-bar blues improvised solo over a 12-bar blues in G, and I want to be able to do it here, here, and here. And I want to play 12 bars here, 12 bars there, and then 12 bars up here. Maybe that's your target. Okay, so you set your goals. Then what you're going to do is you're going to break it down as if you were learning somebody else's solo. you break it down into sections. Right, what are the good notes around here? What are the good notes around here? What are the good notes around here? Learn them, get them under your fingers. Are we relying on minor pentatonic, or are we mixing major and minor? If we're mixing major and minor, where's the major notes? Where's the minor notes? Where are the good licks? And then do that in the various places. So we're breaking it down, what we're trying to achieve, into smaller goals, and we're going to achieve each one individually. Then what we're going to do is we're going to play over the backing track and keep playing it. And as I said, first time through, you're probably not going to sound great, but the more you do it, the better you sound. And now another thing that's really kind of important with this is that you, as you set this time aside and you're going to think, I'm going to do this one particular solo, don't just always play in your favorite key. So yes, in that particular example, we were breaking down, I want to learn how to improvise in G. Okay, well, once you've done that, then now set yourself another target. I want to be able to do the same thing, but in C or in F or in A or wherever it is. So trying out different keys keeps your brain thinking, because you're having to adjust your licks depending on where you are in the neck. Also, practice different tempos. Don't always just rest on playing the same kind of speed of song that you're always used to. Stretch yourself. Can you work your way up to being improvising when it's something really fast? Can you work your way up to being improvising when it's something much slower, and so you've got to play with maybe more emotion and things? Also, a really key thing to practice is moving between rhythm and lead and getting into the solo. So if you're playing in a band, what you'll be doing is most of the time you're playing rhythm guitar, and then it comes to you and you're going to play an improvised blues solo. What you don't want to do is immediately panic and think, right, okay, what am I doing? I'm in, let's say the song's in A. I'm in A. Okay, well, where are the good notes in A? And then, okay, I'm going to find them and I'm going to be here. That hesitation in having to figure all that out, that's cost you a beat or two. The band's already moved on. You're fumbling away trying to find where you are, where you're going to improvise from, and the band's already moved on. And now you're on the back foot and you're struggling to keep up, and where are they up to? And you're struggling to listen to them and think about what you're doing. So one really good thing to practice is, in every key, in every tempo that you're practicing, how easy is it for you to go from playing rhythm to lead? And then when you get to the end of your solo and you play like a turnaround at the end of the 12 bars, can you jump straight back into rhythm playing? Really, really important to get those things down if you're playing in a band. We're going to come back to that in the next lesson, I think it is, when we actually talk about playing out live with a band and maybe playing improvising for the first time in front of a live audience. Being able to jump between the rhythm and the lead is really, really important, and backwards and forwards. You don't, as I say, you don't want to have that moment where everything kind of, your brain panics, you're trying to figure out where you are and the band's already moved on. Okay, so that's kind of all I had for this lesson. Being able to practice your improvisation, really, really important. Practice it, don't just do the lessons, fumble away and then move on to something else. Actually keep practicing it until you get better and better and better. So if you found these lessons valuable, then please consider supporting the channel by using the PayPal tip jar, which details that are in the description below. Also consider becoming a member of the Patreon supporters. That's a support club that supports the channel, funds the channel, and I make lots of extra videos and tips and things available to them. So a big thanks to all the Patreon supporters for making this video possible. I hope you found these tips useful, and I'll see you again.